Warning. This program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions. This is Unshackled Fury.
Temporary alliances are broken as midnight begins to set at last, and our beloved Sunwell is once again under siege. So welcome back for episode 168 of your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions, Unshackled Fury. I'm your host, Berserker, and with me once again is the man who makes all the girls come out at night, Mr. Jez Corden. Welcome
Wait,
back
what?
again, good sir.
Hey, welcome back to you too. What a brilliant start. Yeah, glad to be back, man. Sorry I missed. Have I missed a couple of episodes now? Kind of feels like maybe I have. I don't know.
Just
but-
two.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's been very busy times. The summer was crazy. It always is for gaming stuff. We had the Xbox Showcase, and then we had Gamescom, and I was also family stuff popping off, and Microsoft decided to lay off a bunch of people, which also created a bunch of work. So it was just pretty chaotic here. I've been really inactive in WoW as well. I missed a bunch of raids, fell behind in my guild, but things are quietening down a little bit now. So finally gotten back on the wagon, so to speak. And now we're back in the saddle with your lovely, lovely self.
It's good to be back, creating our cinema, as we want to say, and certainly a lot's been going on. I know I've been enjoying Koresh. Have you been able to dive much into the new zone and get your questing done and get your Rishi wraps on, whether spicy or not?
Yes, I have. I've done most of Koresh now, I think. Just a couple of story quests left. Been raiding as well. I think we're about halfway through Heroic. It's a cool raid, really cool raid.
Yeah.
Dimensius is a pretty cool, epic kind of fight, right?
Wild shit.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been a pretty cool patch. That not to go off on a tangent so early into the show, but like, I kind of got a bone to pick with it thematically. It's like, I thought this was a war within. I thought we were underground and all this shit, and now we're literally in space where there's no semblance of caves. It's literally just floating rocks in space with no caves at all. So I've kind of felt, while the patch is cool, I kind of feel slightly cheated. I was hoping for more caverns, more caves. I'm a cave kind of guy, man. If I was a lion, I'd be a dwarf.
True cave dweller, I think.
Yeah. I'm all about them caves, and now we're in space. Got no problem with space, but shouldn't there be a space expansion for that shit? I don't know.
Gotta be a space cave.
Yeah, space caves.
They're taunting you with that giant space cave in the distance, the big glowing one. You can just dive in there, but I think it's probably...
Oh, yeah, true that.
So.
True that.
Well, thank all of you for joining us once again, and my apologies off the top. I've caught my wife's cold, so I may be a little nasally here and there. I'll probably have to hit the mute button once or twice, and Jez can watch me on the video that he can see me on, hacking or sneezing or looking all kinds of ugly. But for the rest of you, should be okay. So my apologies ahead of time. But Jez, now that you're back, I've got something for you. Now, I know that you've got a lot for us today, but I've got something for you. These don't happen very often, so when they do, I have to call them out. You and I, this show, Unshackled Fury, we got ourselves a new review. Somebody dropped a review, which was very thoughtful of them. And we do, listen, if you like the show, you want to drop us a 5-star deal and write something nice, you always can. If you want to drop that 1-star deal like some asshole did, I mean, I guess you can do that too. And thanks for listening. And, good luck to you. But I have for you, Jez, today a 5-star review that was left by someone by the name of Darth Sacco or Seiko. And the title of this review is Metal WoW at its best. And it said, love when I see the red logo of Unshackled Fury show pop up in my feed. News, commentary, rage, realness. So keep it all coming. Yes. There it is.
We surely definitely will.
There it is. And we've been hanging out on the U.S. rankings as of late. So that's been good. And this show should help because I know all of you are chiming in or tuning in, or one of them words, I can't think, tuning into this show to hear all of the fantastic midnight news. And Jez was our man on the scene, so we're going to get to that in just a hot minute. But first, got to give you your metal album of the week. And Jez, maybe it's, you understand SEO and algorithms and all of these things, I'm sure far, far better than I do. But it must be something about midnight, the word midnight, appearing in searches for me recently that, things get fed to me. And so I have for you, unbelievably enough, from just this past May, came out just this past May, Steel, Rust, and Disgust by the group, or the singular man running an operation, Midnight. There's an individual goes by the name of Athenar, and is apparently some musician that is from Ohio, and he's dropped a few albums under this moniker Midnight, and this is a very punky metal kind of vibe to it. And I was listening to this album just the other day and today, as a matter of fact, and it's a cover album specific to acts that are from Ohio, because Anathar felt that Ohio as a state did not have much representation in the metal world. So it's a little bit of everything. There's probably some very deep cuts in there, but you know what? I aim to broaden the horizons of myself and everyone here with my metal of the week, metal album of the week offering. So this one is brand new to me. Don't know the dude from a hole in a wall other than on the Metal Blade Records website, which Metal Blade, if you know, folks know out there, they're a label for a lot of big metal acts. Their biography picture of him is basically him with a leather hood on his face, and he's wearing like chains and looks like handcuffs and bullets, and he's got no shirt on. So and a leather jacket. So this is metal. Punk metal as fuck. So if that kind of thing is your jam, throw it on. Steel, Rust, and Disgust by Midnight. And now, before we get to your portion of the show, Mr. Corden, I do have a related item that I do have to get off my chest that is very near and dear and important to me, and I'm very upset about it. Let's go. Let's rage. So Gamescom 2025 just came and went, as you well know. And it was just this past Tuesday was the day when the Midnight cinematic was to be revealed, and the great kickoff for all of the Midnight information was going to start to flow to us. And I had taken some time off with my beautiful wife and some friends of ours, and we had headed out to the Napa Valley, which, if you know anything about California winemaking, Napa's the joint. And like a good little Californian, I have to get out there from time to time and pledge my go out there and spend some time relaxing. And wouldn't you know it, that at the exact time that the presentation was happening where the cinematic was revealed, I was actually on the road. I was on the road. And I contemplated for a hot minute, should I just pull over, make my wife wait? And yes, she can drive, so she could have totally driven. But in this scenario, I could have demanded that we pull over to the side of the road, watched the thing, so I would not be a moment's late in knowing what all of you and us now know. And one of the reasons why I was contemplating doing that was because in the original announcement that this was happening on this day at this time and place, it was promised to me that one Chris Metzen was going to be there, that he was going to be part of the announced panel and he'd be talking about things and he'd be there doing his Metzen thing. I mean, they didn't say that last part, but that he was going to be there. And that is the reason to break up an entire road trip home and piss off your wife, to pull over to the side of the road, some random place to see the man talk, because as we have all heard many times, he is my personal Lord and Savior, and this is the kind of thing I want to do. But Jez, there was no sign of Chris Metzen to be found. And not only that, they went back and they changed the posting on the website so it no longer had any evidence that he was ever supposed to be there, when we know that he was, because people have captured that and it's too late. You can't go back. Toothpaste is already out of the tube. How could they do this to us, Jez? He is the man. He is the myth. He is the legend. Nothing feels as epic without Chris Metzen there. Can plans change? Sure, they can change. Could something have happened? Maybe. But for an expansion reveal, you gotta have your man there. And I don't know how they couldn't have had their man there. And they completely hornswoggled, bamboozled, and tricked me into almost crashing my car to pull over to the side of the road so I could see him. When in fact, I would not have seen him at all. And I can't believe they did that to us. I can't believe they did it. They did that to you, Jez. You were there. You could have seen the man live and in living color, just like I have. It's a religious experience that all people should have, and they took that from you for reasons yet unexplained. How could they?
I didn't even know Metzen was supposed to be there. That's news to me.
He was supposed to be. See, they even took it from the media.
Do you you say that they edited the post, but maybe you just dreamt it, bro. Maybe you just dreamt it, and when you went to check the post, it was always like that.
It was a fever dream all along.
A fever dream, yeah.
Well, that's an explanation as plausible as any, but nonetheless, next year, BlizzCon 2026, when they're doing Last Titan reveal or whatever's going on, he better be there, or I'm gonna riot. All right, with all that out of the way, held you hostage long enough, let's get to the good stuff and talk about World of Warcraft Midnight. So as I quasi-lamented, Gamescom was just this past week. Jez, you are our man on the scene. And I'm going to throw this to you in just a second. But feeding into this moment in time, we had just that day, if you did story mode like I did, had just come to find out how we got from Xal'atath being our friend in the beginning of this patch 11.2 to understanding, and we fully well knew that come midnight she was back on the baddie side of things. So coming in on Tuesday, ran it through myself and saw, yes, we defeated Dimensius in Jez, as we just talked about, a crazy ass fucking raid. It's changing locations, you're flying, there's beams of void energy, it's massive and crazy, and it was quite impressive. All for Xal'atath once he's defeated, to essentially take his power with the Dark Heart. Off they go, and she disappears, and we know that we'll see her at midnight, and she's going to be doing some bad things. So that is how we all assumed we were going to get from there to here. And here is Gamescom. So for you, Jez, how was it? What did you see? What was the vibe like? Give us the man on the street report.
Yeah, so Gamescom. So obviously when I go to Gamescom, it's not just for any single game. Like working at Windows Central, there's had a ton of meetings. So Blizzard stuff was just one part of it. Saw tons of games. I was there mostly for the Xbox Ally, which is a new gaming handheld from Microsoft and Asus, powered by new chips. So that was pretty cool. But I suppose like when it comes to Blizzard itself, I was very, very lucky because not only did I get to interview Ion Hazzikostas and Holly Longdale, who are the game director and executive producer respectively on World of Warcraft. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I also got to play Player Housing.
There it is.
For a good chunk of time, about half an hour, and also recorded some footage of Player Housing, which was cool.
Ooh.
Which I'm not even sure what I'm going to do with that yet, because I don't really have a YouTube channel where I can put it. So it's like, what do I do with this footage? I suppose I'll embed it in an article or something somehow. So yeah, we got some footage of Player Housing. I'll need to figure out what to do with that. But and also attended Blizzard's community party event thingamabob, which was on the evening of the show. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. They really supported us a lot there. So when it comes to, I suppose, what went down there, what do you want to talk about first? There's quite a lot, because I suppose like we already knew some aspects about Midnight from the initial reveal, which was back in June, I want to say. Well, they revealed Midnight originally, like back at BlizzCon, like a year ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2023.
2023. Jesus, 2 years already. Damn. Well, they revealed Midnight there, but then we got sort of like, we got Player Housing and some more details about Midnight a little while ago. And now we've had the full, or mostly full reveal. I suppose like not everything's been really revealed totally yet. We still don't have full complement of new talents and stuff that all the classes are going to get, for example. We still don't have a sort of demonstration about how some of the new systems work, like Prey and things like that. So they'll probably drip feed a lot of this information over the coming months, which gives us plenty of podcast topics to discuss over the coming months too.
Yeah.
But I suppose first we should talk about the cinematic, because there's been quite a lot of discourse about that, right?
Yes, there has.
What did you think of the cinematic? What was your initial reaction?
So, I think what's kind of fun for me on this one is that, as I've talked about many times, the War Within cinematic just was had a lot of personal connections, and so that one hit me in a lot of ways that I didn't expect. And I think part of it was the setting, part of it was the subject, just a lot of stuff going in there. So with this now focusing on, we were pretty sure, and I even said this on our last episode, was that I was pretty sure this is going to be something about the Sunwell and Xal'atath attacking it, and we're probably going to be in the middle of a battle, because the last one was so quiet, the cinematic, that this one's probably a little more action oriented. Didn't quite play out as I had thought, but I think we all kind of were guessing that that's just about where we were going, and a lot of that was fed because of what Metzen had said to us originally at BlizzCon. So because I'm a little less attached to, Blood Elves and kind of the Horde side of things, it was easier for me to be a little bit more subjective. So coming into it, I knew right away that was Liadrin. A lot of people were like, oh, I didn't know who that was, and that didn't make any sense. I was like, oh, that's Liadrin. And then, oh, there's Lor'themar. So, like, for me, even not being as attached to it, I was pretty confident. I was like, okay, I think I know who these people are. And we get out to the battle, and battle's happening. I'm like, yeah, everything looks great. And she was praying at the Sunwell, and, Lor'themar's looking all badass. I've always liked him, by the way. I'm dyed-in-the-wool alliance, but I've always liked Lor'themar. He's a badass, and this cinematic only showed that even more so. Like, he's spitting in her face and taunting Xal'atath, who shows up, and all of her forces dropping in, the big voidy guys coming in, and they're battling with the all the Blood Elf forces, and it looked cool. And she runs off and throws her mantras away, and is just giving her heartfelt prayer to the light, because she's had a very awkward relationship with the light and essentially torturing a Naru for power at one point, or helping to down there in the bowels of Silver Moon. And to see then that heroic moment and that music swell and this fucking army of paladins comes charging, walking out from behind her, and they're taking on the battle, and their weapons are lighting up as they're firing off. I mean, I thought it was pretty cool. And is it my favorite of all time? No. Is it even in my top 3? No. But I still thought it looked pretty cool. It's interesting to see like mid-battle. I know people were upset about like Liadrin's lips were too big and she looked too Instagram model-y, and people were having problems with skin texture and stuff, which I don't understand, because they had some pretty good close-up shots and it looked, I mean, you could see every pore on their face, so I'm not really sure what that was about. But I thought it looked amazing. I thought it got us up to speed where we needed to go. I know that we're gonna start, based on the commentary from some of the interviews or somewhere that happened this past week, that's essentially where we jump in on the campaign, is that defense of the Sunwell. So that's setting us up for where we're going next. But I thought it was perfectly serviceable. Knowing what the expansion was ahead of time, I think that has overall, there's been a vibe definitely, I think, this past weekend, for a few reasons, that Midnight's not a surprise, and so I don't know that it hits as hard as something that we know nothing about, and then boom, here comes the cinematic and it just melts our faces. But I thought it was a little, and I say this with all peace and love, maybe a little pedestrian compared to some of the other ones that they've had in the past, just in terms of like holy shit moments. But I thought the Paladin thing was cool. We've learned that that's the army of the light being summoned or showing up or whatever it was. So I thought it was fine. Always looks great, right? But I know that there have been plenty of complaints about the subject and the sort of stylistic choices that were made. So as somebody who is hardcore Hordy, somebody who is tied to this, I think, a little bit more emotionally than I am, what did you think about it sitting there? Were you there in the hall? Did you watch it there?
No, where did I watch it? I don't think I think I was still at home when the expansion trailer dropped. I didn't go for I was like, I left for Gamescom on the Tuesday. When did the cinematic drop?
It was Tuesday.
Yeah, I think I saw it before I left.
Okay.
So I wasn't actually physically there, but yeah, I am a old school Horde, right? So like, I haven't really liked the direction of Blood Elves in general since they became more goody two shoes. I thought like the Felspires were badass. I thought draining the Naru was completely fair and appropriate. Naru, weird aliens from outer space. Can't really trust them. So drain that power, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't really enjoyed that direction that Blizzard's had for the Blood Elves, frankly. I think it makes the Blood Elves like just long-eared humans. It sort of robs. I think it robs the Horde of a bit of texture to some degree. How they're trying to make even the Forsaken like they've been defanged a little bit. So, but that's a completely separate issue, right? I think you touched on what I feel about it, which is like, announcing all these expansions so far ahead of time has definitely changed the way I think these cinematics are going to be perceived, because we already kind of knew what was going on here, right? And I'm trying to like imagine how it would feel if I didn't know this was happening, because I mean, pretty evidently from what goes down in Koresh, you can sort of get an idea to some degree about, it's going to be about Xal'atath, it's going to be about the Dark Heart still, all that kind of thing. But like, I kind of feel like if they had, I'm going to imagine that they're probably regretting announcing things like the setting, because I feel like it would have been such a hype moment, potentially, to have been like, yeah, we're remaking Silver Moon, because people have been asking for that for ages, because it's in this weird separate part of the world, right? It's not connected to the world, you can't fly there, all that kind of stuff. And it sort of continues our conspiracy theory of Blizzard remaking a lot of the capital cities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And giving a lot of the races and factions new places to call home. Because Silvermoon is one of the oldest. It's among the oldest and most neglected cities in World of Warcraft, joining the Exodar, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, like, hopefully they'll look at the Exodar next. But so, yeah, I feel exactly like you did. It didn't have that sort of shocking impact because I knew we already knew what was going on.
Yeah.
So obviously there's going to be some kind of thing at Silvermoon City and all that kind of thing. I, like you as well, I also immediately knew that was Liadrin. Mm-hmm. I don't know how you wouldn't have known that.
I don't know.
I kind of see why people feel the way they do about the art, the stylistic choices.
Mm-hmm.
I did kind of feel like, not the skin texture, but I feel like the lighting on the skin makes it look a bit plasticky, I think. Which is where some people are coming up with the sort of Instagram model vibes.
Yeah.
So I kind of get where they're coming from to some degree. But it's also like, it's very hard to, I suppose, really make in-game models look like they're, make cinematic models look like their in-game counterparts. Because at the end of the day, like, you look at characters like, I don't know, Alex Straza, who uses a Blood Elf model as her human form, visage form, whatever. And a generic... I mean, she's had a model update, but back in the day, it was like a generic Blood Elf face, you know? And that's kind of the model Liandrin's using. It's a generic play... Like, you could make Liandrin cosplay by making a in-game female Blood Elf paladin. Like, she doesn't really have that much of a unique model. So, I kind of, like, appreciate some of the challenges there, and Blizzard's cinematic department, they cook so hard. They did all the Diablo cinematics, which were all amazing. Yeah. All the others World of Warcraft cinematics are amazing. So I suppose not every single one they do is going to land completely right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you, I just thought it was fine. You know, it's just fine. I don't like paladins. I don't like the light. So there is some subjective stuff there. I would much prefer to have been like, you know, blood elf, blood paladins, or what did they call them back then? Was it
blood
just blood knights? That's it. I much preferred if it was like we kept that tradition, the blood knight stealing the light from the Naru and all that kind of stuff, and instead of the stupid army of light coming out of the portal, it was the horde. You know, that faction Blizzard seems to have forgotten exists. So I did kind of bitch about that in my interview as well, in a polite way. I was like, have you guys forgotten the Horde exists? You know, so because I was worried that when that portal opened, that was the Alliance showing up. I was like, oh my god, are they seriously doing it? Like the Alliance is coming to save the Horde or some shit? Because that is terminal bullshit right there.
Yeah.
But if it's the Army of Light, okay, whatever, I suppose. You know. Or they were going to do some kind of bait and switch where it was like, okay, now there's Orc and Undead Paladins or something, which seems like something that's inevitable, you know, the way that class restrictions have been lifted over time. We've now got Orc Priests and Orc Priest lore. Obviously, we've had Undead Priests since forever. And now we've got Kalia Menethil and all that kind of thing. I feel like a sort of twisted Undead Paladin is... I mean, there's literally Undead Paladins in one of the dungeons in War Within, right? But, alas, I can't have it all. It was fine, and I agree with you. It's probably not in my top 3, but I do wonder how much of that is just knowing beforehand what the crack was, which sort of sucked out some of that excitement, I guess. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of, I think, bled over into the whole presentation at this point, which... I have to say, for an expansion kind of reveal, I think this was probably the worst one they've ever had. And ever. Because on one hand, we knew what it was ahead of time, so it already reduces that excitement. I mean, there's just a certain amount of not knowing, and it's like, ooh, what's that anticipation like? But just the way in which the replays of the panels have come out where the audio's all fucked up and they don't really look that great, and there's conflicting information coming from different, like from them themselves, and there's all kinds of little articles and YouTube videos, and like it's this scattershot kind of approach that it doesn't seem like across the community it has landed very well.
Dude, I've got a really great example of this. So in my interview, I asked about talents and new abilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, so we get in new abilities expansion, all that kind of thing. And they were like, we're not ready to talk about that right now. And then you look at one of these other interviews and they're like, they're talking about it right now to other people. I'm like, what? You told me we weren't talking about this shit in the other one. So I was a little bit salty about that, not gonna lie. But but it's also like it does feel like chaotic. I do think part of that is doing it at Gamescom. So you've got like,
for sure,
you've got like hundreds of employees, well, maybe not hundreds, but dozens of employees trying to navigate traveling to Europe from America at the same time as trying to organize expansion reveal and, you know, work with Gamescom as a company and all that as an entity or a company. I don't know whether it's a company. I suppose it is a company. But like, you know, just sort of navigating all these other logistical challenges on top of doing it like this. I think like if it had been a BlizzCon where they control everything from the venue, they control the location, they don't have to travel as far. It kind of reduces those logistics to some degree. Also, like the Xbox was involved too. So like the Blizzard interviews were at the Xbox booth, so there would have been coordinating efforts being made there as well. And I think like a lot of press are confused about whether they contact Blizzard PR or Microsoft PR with some of that stuff. So it was probably just generally chaotic for them. They haven't done an expansion reveal at Gamescom before, I think.
They did for Legion.
I wasn't around for Legion.
It was very brief, and all it was that cinematic where Gul'dan goes back to resurrect Illidan. It was just that very short little cinematic that we got, which I don't know if you've heard the story before. When that happened, and the reason I know this was 10 years ago this month, was because I was in South Africa at the time, and I was in a hunting camp, and I was in a corner. This is no shit. I was in the corner of a hut that it was the only spot that could get the Wi-Fi or like a cell signal. It wasn't even Wi-Fi. It was a cell signal. I was crouched down in the corner of a hut so I could get one bar of a signal to slowly download that cinematic so I could see what the fuck happened. And that's how I remember that. And I was able to see it. And I was like, oh my God, it's Illidan. So, you know, I'm marked out. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, you're right on because you understand it, I think, better than most. Is I'm sure that logistically this was very difficult. And there probably were some last minute changes or maybe some confusion about, to your exact situation, what they were talking about, what they weren't talking about. Maybe some things have changed in other respects in terms of things that are going to be in the game or how they're going to roll things out. So maybe that's the best word, is chaotic. It felt very chaotic just in terms of getting the information. And, you know, and then we had something like another example was transmog, and the way that transmog is going to be changing to kind of get ahead a little bit is, you know, at first I think it was WoW had put out a thing saying transmog will be free, and the land rejoiced that no more cost for transmog. Well, no, that's not what it is. It's that there's now going to be, you know, essentially like entire appearances that you'll have in a tab, which they showed the kind of mock-up UI for, so you have a lot more opportunities to have like a set appearance. And then if you, like, let's say, get a new piece of gear from a raid drop and you put that on, that you'll be able to transmog that for free to stay in your transmog set. So not quite as it was said at first, and then it changed. And then even on top of that, just to continue on the transmog real quick, they're talking about having situational transmog setups where, like, if you walk into your player house you'll automatically change into one set of gear, and then when you walk out of your house, you'll automatically change into something else. And then like when you go into a raid, maybe you'll change into something, and maybe when you go into PvP, you'll change into something. So they haven't quite, I think, revealed all about how that'll work, but there's going to be situational transmog, which I think is kind of rad if you really want to RP that shit. But chaotic, I think, is maybe the best way to put it, because it did seem like information was quite a bit scattered. So that was a little unfortunate, but overall, to get back to where we were, cinematic comes out, kicking everything off, I think, and then they had their gameplay reveal video. That was the secondary part of this, where they went into more of the major beats on this. And you've already talked about this a little bit, but we're going to have 4 new zones. Well, a couple new zones and a couple revamped zones, let's say, which we've already been clued into previously. So we have Eversong Woods, which we talked about, Silver Moon, and for the long time Horde folks, right, dealing with the scar that runs all the way up Eversong Woods, that goes through the Ghostlands. It's all the remnants of the Scourge army going up there and destroying everything. Well, now you're gonna have Eversong Woods remade. You're gonna have Quel'Tha Lost in its full glory, which, by the way, if you do try to get up there right now on the current map, and you've managed to evade some of the invisible borders, and you have to maybe walk on the ocean and fly in some places like I did yesterday, you'll get to an area in the back that has a giant purple dome on it. Like, the whole area is like encapsulated in this giant purpley thing, and I don't know if that's always been there, but I can't remember seeing that. So
where's that?
It's in where the Quel'Tha Lost is now on the Eastern Kingdoms. So if you go in and you go up to the most northern area that you can get to above, what is that?
Caldanas?
You'll have to go like around. What's the one with the Lordaeron, Undercity?
Tirisfal Glades.
Yeah, Tirisfal Glades. Just keep going north till you get to the ocean, and hang a right, and just keep going, and eventually you'll end up in the area that is on the map. It's there. There's nothing there, and you can't get into it. Eventually, there's like invisible borders and things, but you can see like half-finished buildings and shit. But you get out there far enough, and there's like a tower that's on the edge of the land, and you go in it, and it's encompassed this huge purple dome, like all the way around you. It's crazy. So
interesting.
Already Forces of the Void there. So yes, Eversong Woods remade. I assume that includes all of the previously or currently or sort of known Ghostlands. It's all gonna be one big area. The Zul'Aman will now be its own zone. It won't just be a raid anymore. We're gonna get Harandar, which is underground. So Jez, you wanted to go back underground. We're gonna go back underground. We're gonna go see a primordial underground jungle and go hang out with the Aranir. More about them in a minute. And
it's underground then?
I believe so.
Huh.
I don't know that they've said the word underground, but it sits at they say it sits at the confluence of the world tree's great roots. So I have to believe that that's underground.
So I was like, there's an area above Stratholm to the left. It's sort of between Tirisfal and Stratholm and Plaguelands. A strip of land there which has never been used ever. You can see it on the map. So I thought it was going to be there because the edge of Stratholm, there are these giant mushrooms, right? So I thought it was like
the loss. That's what I was just talking about.
Yeah, I know, but like the Haranir zone.
No.
If you go northwest of where all those mushrooms are, there's like a blank area. So I thought it was going to be there because that is sort of next to Quel'Tha Lost.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's underground. I think it's underneath Quel'Tha Lost.
Right.
But
Fair
maybe.
enough.
I haven't seen it quite yet. So, fourth zone will be the Void Storm, or just Void Storm, and it's going to be some sort of void planet that we've never been to. Mysterious. They like that word. Be taking the fight to Xal'atath, we assume at that point. So, Again, as a lifelong Horty, how do you feel about the revamp of Eversong Woods, that whole area, the rebuild of Silvermoon, and letting Alliance into part of it?
Well, makes me sick. There'll be Alliance there. I was initially very happy where they were like, oh yeah, most of it's Horde only, and then if Alliance go there, they're kill on sight. I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's kind of fair, I guess, maybe. But now they've sort of backtracked on that. I was like, oh no, like 2/3 of it are accessible by everyone. And I'm just like, what? Come on, man. kind of makes that was almost like a neutral race at that point. So I don't know. It is what it is. It's just the way the game's going, isn't it? I don't like it. I think it creates this homogenization where everything's just sort of the same and everyone's buddy, friendly, and all this kind of thing. I'm not a fan
agree
of
on this.
The game. Yeah. I don't like the game going in that direction, but it's also like I also accept the fact that I'm old and that a lot of younger players just don't care. Yeah. You know, we talked about this in my interview. It's like, you know, like I explained that, you know, because there's a scene where Illyria's in this patch where Illyria's like to Xal'atath, how can we trust you, Xal'atath? And I'm sitting there thinking, bitch, I don't know if I can trust you. How many times has your faction tried to murder me? You know, I'm going to join Xal'atath. Yeah. You know, I'm sitting there thinking that, you know, so, you know, but I also, you know, appreciate that I'm old and a newer player or a younger player might not feel the same intense animosity as I do to some of these faction leaders. And but to be fair to Blizzard, they acknowledged that. They were like, there needs to be room in the story for the characters that feel the same way you do, which is never forgive, never forget. And there are bound to be plenty of characters in the Warcraft lore and Warcraft story who probably don't, at the very least privately, aren't happy about all this shit that's going on. Like, you know, former Corcoran members and maybe the Sylvanas. I'm a Sylvanas loyalist. Like when you do the when you do the Sylvanas, I don't know if you know this, but when you do the Sylvanas quests in Battle for Azeroth, as a Horde player, you can actually like pledge. It's like a dialogue option to pledge yourself to Sylvanas. Heard. Yeah, so if you do that, you get like extra dialogue later on where Sylvanas meets up with you and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna leave, you know, but thank you for your loyalty and all that kind of thing, right? And I was just like, don't leave, please don't leave. But you know, like I like that though because it's sort of like, there was plenty of Horde players like, I don't want to burn down the tree. This is stupid. It makes us out to be all evil. But I was all like, yeah, burn down the fucking tree, burn down all the fucking trees.
You're a savage.
Yeah, I was, you know, I was one of those. I was Forsaken at the time. I loved it. I loved that so much. Yeah. Although I do agree that it was like, it wasn't wasn't executed particularly well, you know, and all that kind of thing, which is completely fair. But I think like there are plenty of real world examples of leaders just going completely fucking mental for no reason. Yeah. And it was kind of fun to sort of, I don't know, experience that defiance and that rebellion and maybe a little bit of sadism from the safety and comfort of a video game, right? So, but it was cool that Blizzard kind of acknowledged that they still want to tell, in my interview, they said they still want to tell those kind of stories, but they also say like, they had a lot of feedback, like after Legion, when we'd all worked together to save Azeroth, and now we're going straight back into full-scale war with each other. It doesn't make a ton of sense, maybe, but I don't know. There's you know, if you're a European and you know like European history going back like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, there's plenty of examples where like Britain and France, for example, have worked together to against some other country, and then like the next year been at full scale war with each other because there's like, okay, we've dealt with that problem now. Let's go to war with each other over some resources or some other bullshit like that. Because that's what Battle for Azeroth was, wasn't it? It was like a war over Azeroth. It was a war over resources. So
that's right. I
don't know. It's a huge tangent there, but it's just cool that we're getting Silvermoon back and upgraded and sort of on the. It sounds like it's going to be on the same level as I can't remember the name of the city now. Like the Nightborn city, Suramar. Yeah, that's correct.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, so yeah, when Suramar came out, everyone was like, "Oh my god, if Silvermoon could look like this," because Suramar was so impressive as a city. Like they went hard on that. They went I would say even unnecessarily hard. Like they did not need to cook that hard for that city, but they did, and it looks like we're gonna get similar levels of cookage when it comes to Silvermoon City. So I'm excited to see that. I think one thing I was kind of concerned about was the reuse of old zones and making them feel fresh and not just like I don't want to use the word lazy, but lazy. Because reusing assets is something that happens in game dev. It can save a lot of time. It can save a lot of money. You know, like if you're a Monster Hunter player, we've been fighting the same Rathalos skeleton for like how many years now? Decades.
15.
Yeah, something like that. And like Gears of War as well, like all the Gears of War games since Gears of War 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and Judgment, they all use the same animations. All of them do. And I remember like during Xbox's downtime, when Xbox had a period of like not releasing any games for ages, but the Coalition was still pumping out Gears of War games left, right, and center. It's like people like, you see, look, the Coalition really cooks, and I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, I mean, it's because they're using the same assets for the last 20 years. So I was a little bit concerned, like how would they make, you know, some of these zones feel fresh? But it really does look like they've been completely rebuilt. They've got like familiar topography, I suppose, but with all new zones and new areas and all that kind of thing. So I'm cool. I'm excited to see the direction, and also there's a couple of completely new zones as well, like, you know, the Haranir zone, the Void Storm, wherever that is. I presume the Void Storm is like a dimension or something along those lines. I'm not sure, but
We haven't been told.
Yeah, could be cool. I'm intrigued to see where it goes.
Is your interview out yet, by the way, or is that still coming?
No, I've literally got the browser window open now, typing it up. So, should be out tomorrow, hopefully. There's some cool bits and pieces in there. A lot of it I would say is not necessarily new information. But there's some interesting comments about augmentation, like what their philosophy is with regards to adding new classes now, because obviously one of the things I suppose we'll talk about in a minute is they're adding a new spec, just a spec this time for Devourer, Voidy Devourers for Demon Hunters. And they've started just sort of adding new specs here and there rather than adding a whole new class. So I kind of wanted to know, like, are we not doing new classes now and stuff like that? And their answer was quite interesting. I also asked them about stuff like, I asked them about augmentation evokers and whether they'll do more support specs and things of that nature. So there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Did you get any of our Discord questions in?
I did not, I'm afraid.
Oh,
my bad.
Okay.
I could probably follow up on email about that, actually.
Okay. All right. Just gonna hook us up. So yeah, four zones. Eversong Woods, like you mentioned, the rebuild of Silvermoon City looks insane. Zul'Aman, interesting choice there to build that out into a whole zone. And there's going to be, let's say, a refresh of the Amani trolls, and even as an Alliance player, I'm not quite sure what to make of them because they don't look like trolls to me. They look like orcs with tusks. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding. But the art that I've seen so far for the updated Amani trolls is interesting. Not what I expected, let's say. Herondar looks beautiful. All the bioluminescence that we've come to expect thus far with the Haranir and Voidstorm. Yeah, it's going to be scary and everything's going to try to eat us apparently. And I don't know how I feel about all that. So along with the 4 zones that we have here, one of the other big pieces always is raids. And this time I don't know, Jez, I think we're kind of going old school with this, because out of the gate, we're going to have not 1, not 2, but 3 new raids right out of the gate at midnight. The Voidspire, which will have 6 bosses. The Dream Rift, which will have 1 boss. and the March on Kel Danas, which has 2 bosses and apparently major lore implications. They didn't say what, but they were very quick to point out that whatever happens there, it's a big deal.
And where was that?
So this was March on Kel Danas.
Oh. So Kel Danas is the island where the Magus' Terrace is, right? Oh, that's where the
I
Sunwell
believe
is.
so, yes.
Yeah.
It's where the Sunwell is, right?
Yeah, that's where the Sunwell is. So, that's interesting.
So they're saying, apparently, if I understand this correctly, that week 1, the first week, launch week, there won't be any raids, and then week 2 we'll have the Void Spire and the Dream Rift raids in normal and heroic difficulty. Week 3 we'll have Void Spire and Dream Rift raids on mythic difficulty, and then somewhere 4th or 5th week of the expansion is when we get March on Kel Danas. So whatever happens, some big shit going down. I assume has major implications for whatever 12.1 is going to be.
It's probably another murdered Horde faction leader. Let's be real.
You think so?
I don't know. Maybe Kael'thas comes back. He just pops out of the Sunwell. He's like, "Hey guys, I'm back from the dead. Here to lead the Blood Elves again.
Yeah.
I've repented."
Yeah, didn't he just like nope out in the Castle Nathria? Didn't he just like, yeah, I'm gone? He just like disappeared into the ether. He's still out there.
I have no idea. Nah, I got a feeling they'll probably avoid bringing back in. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people are thinking like Sylvanas is gonna have a role to play here because we got the.
They've said she's back.
Have they actually just fully said it?
Because and I think predicated on the exact thing that you talked about was that extra quest line that they had where she, talks about one day I'd like to come back. They did say in an interview at Gamescom that she will appear.
Well, I mean, she kind of has to. I mean, it's Windrunner Spire. It's her right. Family. Like, there's a Windrunner Spire is like one of the dungeons, right? Which is her family's ancestral home. She kind of has to show up, I think. Maybe this is how Sylvanas, quote unquote, redeems herself or whatever. But I mean,
that's your death. That's your Horde leader death.
Yeah, maybe.
True death.
It's so annoying because like they kind of set her up for like, I don't know. She just can't come back. She literally committed genocide. Without even having. I saw it. Yeah, I was there too, and I was helping her. Without having.
As we've established.
Yeah, but like the thing is, it was always like, they always kind of built up Sylvanas as like this tactical genius, and that the genocide would have some kind of a point. And I suppose the point of it was like, it's for the greater good. I'm killing you for the greater good, as in I'm feeding the jailer so we can use the jailer's powers to make the universe a fairer place by taking over this engine thing. I can't even really remember the plot, but that was like the essence of it, wasn't it? It was like we're gonna go to the first one's machine, which gives reality its structure, and we're gonna hack it and change the way the cycle of life and death works so that people don't have to die, I suppose, was something along the lines of there. But then the jailer was like, well, actually, yeah, we are gonna make everyone immortal, but they're all gonna be my slaves. It's like, who could have seen that coming? Sylvanas, the tactical genius, apparently didn't see that coming. So
worth the risk.
Worth the risk, I don't know. But it is what it is. And now that like Sylvanas has been like, not only she's been exposed as just being kind of dumb, I suppose, like swayed and influenced by the weakest argument imaginable, and not even, they could have done it some other way. Like, I don't know, Sylvanas knew that he was going to betray her, and she was going to betray him before he betrayed her, and do it the right way or something like that. But they just handled it in such a sort of bungled way that it prevented Sylvanas from saving any face whatsoever. Like, I was reading that book, man. I don't read books. I hate reading. I'm a professional writer, but I really hate reading. I hate it. They invented video, man, for a reason. Like, well, you gotta still be writing books out, But nah, it's just an attention span thing. Like I ain't got an attention span for books, generally speaking. I need constant visual stimuli in, like for example in this podcast. Like I can't just sit there and podcast. I've got to be like doing 10 other things at the same time, you know. Otherwise, I don't know. I just can't take it.
Yeah.
But like I read the Sylvanas book. I was that desperate for some kind of explanation or some kind of like, oh, I knew this was going to happen. I'm not an idiot kind of thing. Just something. And there was just nothing. There was no explanation. She literally was that dumb. She really did get duped into killing all these people for literally no reason. So it's like there's no redemption, I think, in that scenario. And I think Blizzard will be. I think even Blizzard. I would hope that Blizzard knows there's no way they can do this. Sylvanas has to like literally lay down her life, I think, in order to save any kind of face here. You know, literally just sacrifice herself in some way.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't think she fully saves face. But I don't see how else she couldn't be involved. She could be involved in this storyline. I don't know any other way for it to happen, which unfortunately kind of makes it predictable. You know what would be cool? She just says, "Fuck it, I'm joining Xal'atath." Boom, full evil, and just I suppose people would
burn every tree on Azeroth.
Burn every tree, yeah. But they've remade the tree. I'm burning the new one. You know, I mean, I suppose that's like incredibly unlikely, but. And also, I think that would really, really piss people off. Don't let me write WoW storyline.
Probably.
Like everyone would become evil if I was writing WoW storyline. But
Dark Timeline by Jez Gordon.
It would be a really dark timeline if I was writing WoW. But yeah, I don't know, man. I suppose we'll wait and see how it plays out. But maybe that's the lore implications. Something to do with Sylvanas, I imagine. If I had to guess.
Yeah, all they have to say is for the Dream Rift, I'm never going to say this right. For the Dream Rift, where the veil between primordial dreams and brutal reality is thin, join the Shul Ka to hunt an undreamt god. So that's going to be, I'm sure, down in Arendir. The Void Spire, the armies of the light have arrived, and we're storming the walls of Xal'atath's stronghold. I don't know that we'll be fighting her, but we'll see. And then, march on Keldanos. Following the events of the Void Spire, the skies over the Sunwell may never be the same. Oh, shit.
Damn.
That sounds bad. Does sound
bad.
3 raids. Makes me think of the old BC days with, like, Gruul's Lair and Magtheridon and all that kind of stuff. What do you think about a 3-raid launch?
I love it, actually. And because it's a bit nostalgic, I think that's part of it, genuinely. But also because it just changes things up a little bit. I think just when you're keeping things like the same, patch in, patch out, over and over again, the same thing over and over, I think it does get a bit samey. The issue they're going to have, I suppose, and this has happened with other seasons where they've had multiple raids, is that the other raids have actually got to be worth doing, man. Because I remember there was they did one in Battle for Azeroth where, I can't remember his name, was it Tanat or something like that? There was a Void Lord boss, not Void Lord, Old God kind of boss, and a Zothi kind of boss, in one of the Battle for Azeroth seasons, and literally nobody did it. It was like, it was too hard for the rewards you got. Because Blizzard were like, we don't want to make the rewards too good that people feel like they have to do it, and then it's like, well, you should, and we also don't want it to be too easy because then it'd be bland and boring and just like another world boss, which are basically loot pinatas. So it's like, you've got to actually make it worth doing, lads, And also, I don't know, some others back in the day as well, people didn't bother doing. I remember we always did Onyxia back in the day, because some of the best in slot gear dropped from Onyxia. And that's how you made like the sword, I can't remember the name, the tank sword that all the tanks wanted. So we had to guild drag us all along to do it for the bloody tank.
Kel'Dalar,
Kel'Sarar, something like that, yeah. So we all got dragged along to do that, right? But yeah, when they do it really well, like with Onyxia, then it's great, you know. But when they do it lame, like Ruby Sanctum, for example, at the end of Wrath, Ruby Sanctum was just terrible. Like nobody
everybody hated that.
Everyone hated Ruby Sanctum. So
horrible.
Yeah, I like it. I like that they're doing it. I just hope, like I say, the rewards are right. But I think Blizzard's a lot better at that kind of thing now. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. For I think what they're continuing to amplify the use of, which is the story mode. I know that for me, like, that's the only way I'm seeing anything timely in the game. Yeah, I could go see cinematics wherever. I mean, Christ, Wowhead posts them months before they even happen, unless they're hidden, and then, you know, you get it the day of. So having significant lore tied to the raids, and they talked about this a little bit, can be a bit awkward depending on when you as a player access it, you know, work your way through it, and then when the next round of things starts coming, it can almost feel like you kind of went back in the past to do something, and we've already moved beyond that, and so it can be really awkward. So to have 3 raids tied together, it sounds like 2 very much so, where one they point out is coming right after the other. Could be great for storytelling. You know, raids have traditionally been their own beast, which I know I enjoyed for a long time, but there wasn't, you know, there was, you know, the end of the story or whatever it was, but, you know, tying in more of these cinematics, tying more of these things in closer together just in terms of time on the calendar. Interesting choice, but
yeah, I like it.
I dig it. Gives us more to do. Speaking of 8 new dungeons, 10 new delves, plus an 11th Nemesis delve. The 8 new dungeons coming our way. Windrunner Spire. You mentioned Windrunner Spire earlier, so that's going to get a whole dungeon. God only knows what that's going to be. Is that where she shows up? Is that where we finally see your girl?
I think like it could go one of 2 ways. Maybe it's a simulacrum, like Syndra Gosa was in Dragonflight in the Nexus dungeon.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or maybe it's literally just her, you know.
There you go.
It's in Eversong Woods, which for the longest time has been called the Ghostlands, because obviously it was corrupted by the Scourge. And I'm presumably now it's no longer corrupted, but there's still a bit of maybe a ghostly slant in some parts of it. The Lich King's taint lasts for a long time, as we all know.
Watch out for that taint.
Yeah, maybe used the wrong word there. But, you know, the presence lingers on, you know, and all that kind of stuff. A lot of crimes were committed in that region of the world, but it does seem like the land's healing or whatever. But so maybe Windrunner Spire is still quite a haunted kind of place, but it was actually at Windrunner Spire where you have that extra conversation with her if you're a loyalist from the quest line.
Oh.
Yeah, you meet her in Windrunner Spire. So, the what's it called version of it? Burning Crusade version of it. Yeah. So, you know.
Interesting.
So,
well, you'll also get for folks that have been around from that era, Magister's Terrace is also going to be back as a new dungeon.
I love that.
What do you
dungeon.
think about that one?
I love that dungeon, man. It's one of my favorite dungeons. Of all time, I think. Just because, like, when it came out, it was so tough. And it was like...
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, it kind of felt like such an achievement to just get through it. And I was like, I was a big raider at the time. And I was kind of like... Even back then, I started getting nostalgic for when... Because they made 5-man dungeons a lot easier over time. I remember when the Burning Crusade first launched... They had a bunch of dungeons that were kind of notoriously insanely hard. I can't remember the name of it now, but they were all pretty tough, to be fair. But there were some that were like really, really tough, and it was almost like you needed gear from some of the easier dungeons to tackle the harder ones, right? And that's the way they kind of did that back then.
That's why I don't do dungeons now. I'm scarred from those days. It was too hard. It was crazy hard.
Yeah, it was really tough.
You had to know the tank on your server back then who could like lead you through a thing, because otherwise you're just wasting hours of your day.
Yeah, for real.
Getting nothing.
I can't remember what that dungeon was called, which had sort of a Ragnaros thing at the end. Oh, it was one of the Auchindoun dungeons. It wasn't Manatomes. I could just look it up on the map.
Halls.
It wasn't Sethic Halls. It was. I could look on the map here because I'm actually in WoW right now.
Anyway.
It was Shadow Labyrinth. Yeah, Shadow Labyrinth was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that dungeon was really crazy back in the day. But I loved it. And when Magister's Terrace come out, Blizzard was like, okay, well, everyone's got their gear from the raids and shit now, so we're gonna make a 5-man dungeon that is appropriate for the level of gear that we expect people to have. And it was just like, if you weren't decked out in the gear, you would just get absolutely creamed. But this dungeon was so tough, so much trash, backpedaling into anything. You just aggro hundreds and hundreds of blood elves. And I remember one of the halls in there was like, I don't know, like 100 mana worms all stacked up. It was so much fun AoEing all them little worms, man. It's a really fun dungeon. And then it kind of culminates in Kael Thas, which is obviously a major lore character. So I love that dungeon. I think it's one of the best they ever did. It's for its time, right? So I'm excited to see what they do with the new one.
There you go. So we got Wind Runner Spire, Magister's Terrace, Murder Row, Den of Nalarak, Mizara Caverns, Blinding Veil, Nexus Point, Zenas, I don't know, and Voidscar Arena. Those are your new dungeons coming out of the gate, as well as our delves mentioned before. We're getting 10 plus the 11th Nemesis delve. So we'll have the Shadow Enclave, Collegiate Calamity, great alliteration there. Parhelion Plaza, another one. The Dark Way, Twilight Crypts, Atal Aman, The Grudge Pit, The Gulf of Memory, Sunkiller's Sanctum, Shadowguard Point, and Torment's Rise, which will be the Nemesis Delve. And we will have Valera Sanguinar as our companion in Midnight. So Bran is going to take a well-needed or well-deserved or a well-asked-for break, and we're going to get ourselves a roguish companion. What do you think about that?
More Alliance
That's a new
bullshit.
More Alliance bull.
What is the deal with this, man? What's the deal? I suppose
she's hard. What are you talking about?
She's like neutral, isn't she? She hangs out in Stormwind, doesn't she? I don't know. She's a traitor.
She does.
She's a traitor.
I thought she and Anduin were going to be an item at one point.
Yeah, maybe. But I was thinking, what if Sylvanas and Anduin become like a cougar? I suppose a bit of a cougar thing going on there, right?
Man, that would be a power couple like no other.
But can you imagine the drama if they did that? I feel like people would not be happy about that, and they'd be like making all moral debates about it, because Sylvanas is how old? Like 10,000 years old or some bullshit. I don't know.
He's a baby. And talking about cradle robbing.
Yeah,
Jesus. Oh,
barely legal in elf terms. But you know, sometimes like when they're hanging out in Shadowlands and they're quite a bit trauma bonded now, you know. You never know, eh? The weird things happen in a crisis.
You might be onto something. Maybe that's what it is. She expresses her love to Anduin and then dies jumping in front of some sort of void bolt. In the Sunwell.
Or
there it is.
She expresses her love to Anduin, and then Nathanos comes back.
Oh.
And he's like, "Hey up, lads," and then murders Anduin. And that's how we get one of the Alliance faction leaders killed for once.
I would be very surprised. Oh, please. The statue of Varian Wrynn that will be delivered to my house next year after I've made all my payments speaks to having had one killed. At least one. And Velen's been killed. He's still alive, but he was also killed. I don't know. I don't make the rules.
Speaking of, just a quick tangent here. Speaking of Varian, have you seen the Legion Remix reward?
I haven't looked at any of the Legion Remix stuff yet. What is the reward now?
Varian sword, man.
Get the fuck out.
One of the rewards is Varian Sword.
It is not.
It is. It seriously is. So
It's Chalamet?
you're gonna have to do it now. It's not the Chalamet. Actually, I think it basically is the Chalamet. Let me just double check this for you.
I'm gonna have to look at this. I'll look this up. Oh, Varian's Fell Corrupted Swords.
Yes, it's a fell corrupted version of Charlemagne.
Wow. Okay. All right. I see what you're doing.
Yeah, you know.
I dig it. That's cool.
You couldn't have the real one because you got turned into a pile of dust, right?
Well, Anduin's got the real one, so I mean, you're not gonna.
You need
a. Okay.
You need a dustpan and brush to meet Varian Rin these days. Or a Dyson vacuum cleaner, something like that.
Or do what I did and you drop a bunch of money on a statue. It's gonna come to your house and be the first step on your divorce path.
How expensive was the statue?
I got they finally released the smaller one, so it's still several $100s, but it's not 5,000.
No.
So I still have no idea where it's gonna live. Maybe in my bed. We'll see. Well, good to know. Hot tip. Looks like I'll be playing Legion Remix.
Oh, dude, there's speaking of Legion Remix, there's also probably the best cape model in the history of World of Warcraft in Legion Remix. So the
best what?
Cape model. So the reward for, I think it's the reward for just completing Legion Remix or whatever. It's like it's a fellish sort of demonic-ish transmog set, but it comes in multiple colors. So there's a holy version and all stuff like that. The cape is it's like a beam of energy. Fully 3D cape. It's easily they're being very ambitious with capes these days, I noticed. So it just sort of flows out of your back like, I don't know, something out of fucking Marvel or some shit. It's crazy. It's really cool.
Whoa.
Definitely check it out there.
All right. Looks like I've got to add a new thing. I didn't touch Pandaria, but I guess I'm gonna be doing Legion.
Yeah,
I like Legion. That won't be too bad.
Yeah.
I'll live. Speaking of things that I may not do though, we are in Midnight going to be getting our first in a while new race, the Harenir. The long asked for, the much asked about, the nebulous status of Harenir race. They were introduced in the War Within. We had Orwina, who was in the nice cinematic, and we saw the full power that she had. And they were in a piece of the story in not Battle for Azeroth, for the War Within. And then that was kind of it. And people were like, hey, what the hell? Where'd they go? There's supposed to be more of them. And Blizzard cut all this content and yada, yada, yada. Well, it turns out they were getting their own whole ass zone. And they're going to be coming to us as a crazy customizable race. Even just the things that they've shown so far, I mean, beyond anything I think I've seen for anybody else. The Drakthir have quite a few options, but we're going to be getting druids, warriors, hunters, rogues, priests, mages, warlocks, monks, and shaman in Harenir form. I'll be honest, I'm not as excited about the Harenir. I kind of didn't vibe with them from the beginning, but I know a lot of people did, so I'm sure there's tons of people that are thrilled about it. Jez, are you going to be rolling a Harenir?
Nah, I don't really like any of the hippie, nature-loving races, as you can probably guess. Whether it's Tauren or whether it's Night Elves. I'm more of a, goblin, chop down the forest kind of guy, or Forsaken, sludge the forest, or set fire to the forest, or yeah. So, not my cup of tea. I feel like it's been quite a while that Blizzard has added a race that actually appealed to me even a little bit. I think the last one was Goblin. A lot of the races are too pretty and happy, and I almost rolled an Earthen, but they're a bit kind of boring and robotic. I see almost nobody playing an Earthen. Do you see many people playing Earthen?
No, not too many.
I do not see people playing Earthen very much.
But I also pretty much only play with the homie Rommel, and we just go from delve to delve and like just bang on shit. So I don't really see a whole lot of other people anyway.
Well, fair enough. I when I did my interview with Ian and Holly, I kind of joked that the whole point that I became a journalist was to rise through the ranks, so I could eventually get to a point where I could have this interview and bitch at you guys for playable ogres, because that's all I want, man. I want to be a two-headed ogre. I want to be like Chagall. So
yeah,
but give me that shit. I don't want to be a porcupine elf. But I will say they do seem they are pretty creative. I don't know if you saw the druid forms. Their bear form seems to be a pangolin, which is pretty amazing.
It was cool.
Pangolins are, of course, badass. So
they are an amazing animal.
Yeah. Actually, on that note, I do quite like the Kulturan druid. The Kulturan druids look pretty cool. They've got that sort of witchy undead vibe going on, you know, you know, necrotic vibe, I suppose. But yeah, they look alright. They look interesting enough. But it's another neutral race. Kind of like I do wonder, like, going forward, are all the new races just going to be neutral? Do you think? Because of how
it's easier than creating two or only giving one to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, because then you got more racials to include and more models to build and
more quests to do.
It's just, I think anytime you introduce something like that, it increases that complexity so many more folds. So we have the Heronir coming in as a new race, and then coupled with that, you already mentioned it before, we have a new Demon Hunter spec coming, the Devourer, which is described as a mid-range DPS spec. Jez, you're going to have to explain to me what in the hell that means. What is a mid-range DPS spec?
I think they've compared it to the Devastation spec for Evokers, I think. Where it's kind of like, they don't have many spells which go all the way to go all the way out to 40 yards, like, you know, a mage or hunter or warlock do. So they're kind of like, they stand between 20 and 30 yards, I think, and the high mobility lets them weave in and out of combat, you know, to do melee and then weave out to range and stuff like that. Highly, because Demon Hunters are obviously highly mobile. I suppose you throw in void portals and then you get even more mobile, right? I presume something like that. So, yeah, it does seem something like that. I haven't really honestly looked into them too much yet because, again, don't like elves, and the only way you can be a Demon Hunter right now is to be an elf. I'm waiting for me orc Demon Hunter. I kind of feel like the most logical choices for the next Demon Hunter races it's got to be Orc and Draenei, right? Because they're from Draenor, where all this shit went down. So Orc and Draenei to me make the most sense for the next. I can't really see a Goblin Demon Hunter really, but. Orc and Draenei, surely. That'd be strange as hell. But wait for more races to open up. But they did say they're also opening up Demon Hunters to Void Elves, and they've hinted that they're going to open them up to Nightborn Elves as well on the Horde to account for the faction imbalance there, which is cool. So it does seem like they're exploring more race and class combos to that end.
Yeah, they did talk about that. And again, talking about the increased complexity with adding something like this, where I dig the aesthetic of this thing. This void metamorphosis is a big piece of this. They have a void ray attack, collapsing star, some pretty interesting looking abilities. I think the whole purpley voidy kind of energy thing, it looks badass. Like it's too mobile. The Demon Hunters are too mobile for me anyway. It's not really my jam. But it always looks badass. They always look great flying around and slashing and doing their thing. So watching this big winged voidy Demon Hunter just blasting a 25-yard ray out of its chest, that's some pretty wild shit.
Yeah, it's pretty
so
cool.
It certainly looks cool. It looks cool. So we'll see how that turns out in real terms. It's going to share Annihilator as a what do we call these things?
Hero talent.
The hero talent tree. It's going to share Annihilator with Vengeance spec, and it's going to share the Scarred tree with Havoc, which is going from Fell Scarred to Scarred, so that way it's not just Fell. I wish them luck in trying to balance this thing, and God only knows what's going to happen, but interesting to see that come along. Another new system that they're going to be introducing is something called the Prey system. It's going to have a few different difficulty levels. I believe it's something like normal. It's like normal, heroic, or normal, hard, and nightmare is what they're doing. And it's something you opt in. It sounds like it's like taking a contract, and you'll be hunting this powerful being across Azeroth with the caveat that they're also going to be hunting you. So they may show up at an inopportune moment and start attacking your ass when you're in the middle of a quest or doing something else, and then all of a sudden you got to turn around and try to defeat them. So it's going to be a new kind of world element where you could just be doing about anything, and they haven't said how these attacks could be triggered or how necessarily you would find them, but they'll be out there, and they'll have their own rewards. Transmog, I know they showed a few transmog items that were very blood elfy and super cool. Does that pique your interest? Because I know I'll be opting into this.
Yeah, I'll definitely be checking this out. I think it's really cool that they're... One thing Holly told me in the interview was they want to make sure there's always something meaningful to do in WoW. But also optional. And they've said that this will be part of the outdoor track in the weekly vault. So while they want you to have a lot to do, they don't want everything to feel like you have to do it. To maximize your rewards. So you can do, you could do like world quests, prey, delves, everything all at once, if you really wanted to. But it wouldn't necessarily be super optimal to do it. You'd do it for fun or transmog or cosmetic stuff, right? But yeah, it does sound really interesting. And they said it's part of them trying to make outdoor content more meaningful, more meaningful content for solo players. They did the delves. They've done the solo epic delve at the end of the tier 11 delve once you've done all the other ones. So I really, really like this stuff. And it kind of feels like a sort of, in a way, a consolation prize for having not got the Brawlers Guild back yet. I should have asked about that, but I asked about that last time.
Yeah.
It just feels like I just keep asking the same questions now. But
yeah,
the Brawlers Guild I think it was awesome. It was like...
Loved it.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. It's kind of like, it fits this kind of vein, So maybe it's something they'll come back to eventually, but I also asked them, is the price system something that's going to be a permanent addition to the game in Delves is? And they're like, yeah, we're going to see what the feedback is like on it and if people really enjoy it, engage with it. So I suppose it depends on all of you if Prey sticks around beyond the expansion. But yeah, it seems really interesting. I think Blizzard's got a lot better at these kind of expansion features since a few patches ago. Like Torghast was not that good. And I also think Island expeditions were not that good. Warfronts were not that good. But they all had this potential though, I think. Warfronts were just too easy, I think. It felt like they should have been more difficult, maybe more raidy almost. But it goes back to what I was saying earlier about balancing, making something feel necessary versus actually having it have good rewards, which is how we end up with, Ruby Sanctum, stuff like that. So I think now they've got the weekly cash, they can do a lot of this stuff better, because when it's contributing to your weekly vault on a Wednesday, it feels a bit like Christmas every week, right? Opening up the vault.
Yeah.
I think stuff like islands and all that other stuff might have worked better in that universe. But we'll see how it lands. Be interesting.
Yeah, at least for this, you can ramp your own self up in difficulty. Like everybody's gonna start off at normal and then you go to hard and nightmare. Because I can imagine I'm gonna try to work my way up and then I get smoked and be like, you know what? Just like war mode, I'm gonna turn this off and never do it again. So,
do you do tier 11 delves?
Yeah.
Have you done the solo ones?
Let's see. The only time I've done tier 11 is when me and the homie are hooking it up together. I don't know that I've soloed an 11. I may have.
No, I mean the boss, the boss delves.
The Nemesis?
Yeah. You've done those
Only
ones?
ever gotten the single question mark. Never gotten the double.
Fair.
Yeah.
Do you like that kind of content as a solo player?
I love it. The delves have been a revelation, and I'm glad that they've kept that as a feature because, I think about this. I probably shouldn't, but I do. I think about this when I watch some of these videos, these presentations, especially as of late with the ones from Gamecom, is when I look at Ian and I look at everybody. We're all getting older, and it's just a fact. It's just a fact of life. And
don't say that.
And it along with that typically comes a change in station with your life. It's being in your teens or 20s and being a student and not having the same responsibilities. I mean, even up until I had my son, it was like, I can't imagine going back and raiding 4 days a week now for however many hours a night. Like, that was crazy shit. But that's what we did, and we could do it, and no problem. My back would be fine. I'd sit there, and I'd hear older players on the team like complain about how their back hurt at the end of the night, and I'm like, I don't feel anything. What are they talking about? It's just things change, and so content is going to have to change, I think, along with your player base, because I think we still probably skew towards an older player base as a whole.
Oh, definitely.
And so something like Delves, right, where I've got, like, me and a homie, we got an hour. We hook it up, and maybe we can get 2, maybe 3 delves in or something like that, depending on how hard they are or whatever else we're doing. And it's just there. We can just go do it. And, we find whatever, special ones that are happening that day, and those are the ones we got keys for, and we go get them. It's so easy to get into and to do, and then even to do it by yourself, to like accept that challenge and keep pushing for it without having to rely on other people, which I know it's an MMO and there is a lot of fun and doing it as a raid team and all that kind of jazz, but I love the delves, and I'm so glad that they've kept that system. So like something like the Brawlers Guild, right, where it was the only thing that we really had, was like, this is solo content and we can really push ourselves to do something. And a praise system, I could see something similar to that being, we're in the middle of a quest and we're dealing with this mob, or we're just minding our own business somewhere being AFK, and we get fucking ganked by this thing that we've taken a contract out on. That just sounds fun. That sounds like, it's going to keep that little rat on the wheel in the back of my mind running and going, hey,
I love,
this sounds cool.
It feels a bit like it's inspired by the Nemesi. What's the plural of Nemesis? The Nemesis. I'm a professional writer.
Nemesis?
I don't know what the plural of that shit is. The multiple Nemesis mobs. It's cool when they show up in delves, right? So part of me wonders, like, is this inspired a little bit by that? Also, like, I don't know if you played Diablo 4 much, but
not much.
There's a famous character in Diablo called the Butcher, and he shows up randomly in dungeons sometimes, and it's always like, especially when you're like lower geared, it can be like, oh, for fuck's sake, it's the bloody Butcher again, come to ruin my run, So, but it's also fun when you overcome that shit, right? Or even back in the day with like the Son of Arugul running around Tirisfal Glades, not Tirisfal Glades, the Silverpine Forest, and shit like that, like Hogger, all the noob characters getting killed by Hogger and shit like that. Or if someone trained Elite Ogre from Burning Steps down to what's that place called? Lakeshire. All that shit was fun and chaotic back in the day. So I think that injects some of that mystery and danger back into the open world. And this was actually something I asked them about, because I know you said you haven't looked into Legion Remix that much, but one of the things they are adding in Legion Remix, which is very, very, very interesting to me, is with this concept of world tiers. So you can set the difficulty of the entire open world, like you can in Diablo, in Legion Remix, as like this big experiment they're doing. And they were like, yeah, if this works in Legion Remix, this is something we might look to bring to the base game. Because one of the things I've often thought about modern WoW, for new players, especially younger players, the people who do have the kind of time that, you know, the time and the reaction speeds that we older people don't have. Like, I've put like younger relatives on World of Warcraft and they just think it's like too damn easy. You know, you try and make WoW appealing to, like, I don't know, the Elden Ring crowd or Souls-likes crowd and stuff like that.
Oh.
It's nowhere near.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near difficult enough. It's like level 1 to, like, I don't know. To be honest, leveling in general is so brain dead in modern WoW. So, like, if things like world tiers or a praise system, and, you know, even like a praise system while leveling, I think that could be fantastic to make the game more engaging if you want that kind of gameplay. And I think a lot of people do want that.
Yeah, and we'll see. Like I said, we'll see what the feedback looks like, but they'll know, you know, they got all the metrics, all the data, so they'll be able to tell us. Of course, all that aside, probably burying the lead now an hour and a half deep into the show. The biggest feature of Midnight, which they announced is actually going to come early in patch 11.27, so we're going to get it before the end of the year, is housing.
Yeah.
Player housing. Yes, the long gestating, the long asked for feature that I forever poo-pooed, but am now fully bought in on. They talked a little bit about it, but not too much because they've already said so much. But Jez, you finally got your hands on it. Tell us what you saw and what you thought about it. How did it feel? Give us the deets.
It was so good. So during Gamescom, I had the opportunity to go hands-on for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that, with player housing. I got the video footage of it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I put it somewhere on YouTube. I'll put it on Windows Central. I don't know. It'll be somewhere for people to check out. But it was just, it was so cool. It was so well done. One thing that I do talk about in my interview is, like, because I asked, why now? Why has this come about now? Because I feel like I've been asking decades for this shit. But it's like, what changed to make this possible now? Was it technological? Was it philosophical? That kind of thing, right? Those kind of questions. And they were like, it was the first time where we really set back and decided we were willing and able to develop something over multiple expansions. Because in previous years, they always had this mentality of 100% of the developer effort goes towards current seasons and the next expansion. But player housing was such a huge technological undertaking. They had to develop a wide range of new systems for it, and basically hand players their own level editor, because that's how powerful this thing is. You know, you can do such minute detailing with this system, and it kind of goes back to what they were saying, like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it properly, and it's not just going to be like, you know, a random throwaway expansion feature. This has to be like a serious pillar aspects of the game, much like character classes are, or, you know, any of WoW's pillar features that the game has to be on that level. Almost like the kind of thing you put in a sequel to a game, right? So they started development on this around the start of Shadowlands. That's how long this thing's been in development. And you can really see that effort reflected in the quality and the complexity of what they've delivered. So I'd assumed that player housing was literally just going to be one single room you can customize, pretty much a little bit, with very sort of like, you can place an object here, you can place an object there, very sort of simple. That's how I had it in my head, right? I was not expecting what was actually delivered, which is like literally a full-blown level editor. You've got a starting room, but then you can add hallways, extra rooms on top of that room. You can add a staircase, second floor, and then add rooms on top of that. You can have rooms in any configuration, connecting their doorways together, that kind of thing. And then it's like, not only is it like a snap to grid system, you can turn on snap to grid and sort of snap pieces together in a sort of easy way. If you just want to put something together quickly for, just mess around with it. But if you want to get really granular with it, you can turn on advanced mode. And then you can also turn on clipping, which basically allows you to intersect 3D models together. So say, for example, you build a bookcase, right? But you don't just want a generic pile of books. You want to manually place every object on that bookcase. With this system, you can. You can place all the individual books. You can put a little candle on there. You can put like random objects or jewelry or, all the types of knickknacks that you might have on a bookcase. And you can really go really manual with it. And like in other player housing systems like Fallout 76, for example, and it's kind of funny here actually. So in Fallout 76 player housing system, just an example, is quite powerful in its own right. But because it has these restrictions on clipping, and they're quite aggressive restrictions, like you can't place that there because it'll intersect with another object or something like that. It often prevents you from doing things that would look fine because the system thinks you're clipping, even if you're not quite clipping with the naked eye, like the model clips or whatever. By turning that system off, you can give players the power to like really customize and get granular with bookshelves or placing objects on tables. You could set up an entire banquet table, placing apples individually and bananas and all that kind of shit without worrying that you're going to clip into things. So really, I think players are going to be able to make crazy works of art with this shit. I really genuinely think there'll be players who actually use this system to just make art, not just make a house. I can see them using apples as pixels to make a picture and shit like that. You're going to see some crazy creations out of this. It's sort of Minecraft kind of level with what you could do with it. But at the same time, you can just set it into sort of basic mode, which does let you snap things together, doesn't sort of force you to really think about, doesn't force you to become an artist or an architect to get the most out of this shit. I think it's the best of both worlds. And there was so many objects and items to play around with. There's a wall that also acts as a hidden door for a bookcase. So you click on the bookcase and it opens up into a hidden door, so you can make hidden rooms and shit like that. You can also scale the size of objects. So if you turn on advanced mode, you can have a giant apple on the table or something like that if you wanted. Or you could have a very, very tiny, tiny apple. There is a build limit. So you can't just place infinite amounts of stuff in there. So you do have to some degree think about how you're going to manage that shit and how you're going to hit that build limit and that kind of thing. So you can't just place a million apples everywhere because I don't know, the server tracks all those objects, so it gives players a limit of the score. It's got 2,500 is the item limit, and every item that you place in the house has a sort of cost. So an apple might be 5 score or something, and then a bookcase might be 30 score or something like that. So
interesting.
You kind of have to think about how much shit you're going to place everywhere, I guess. But it was very, very well done, and it's kind of funny that right after WoW revealed its player housing in full this past week, Fallout 76 announced that they're adding a no-clip mode, like WoW does, which I thought was kind of funny, right? Because that's one thing that people always complain about in Fallout 76. But I kind of get why Fallout has it switched on, because the houses in that game are in the open world. So it's if players just make these ridiculous kind of objects everywhere, I suppose it could kind of ruin immersion to some degree. Yeah. But with WoW, all the player houses are in interiors, so you don't have to go into someone's house and see their ridiculous bullshit all over the place, right? So I think it might end up being a mistake in Fallout 76. We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, it's fantastically well done, very detailed, very high quality, very polished. I did manage to crash it a couple of times by I accidentally dragged a bookshelf so far away out of scope that it crashed the client. So still buggy, still things to fix and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, it was so well done, and I just know I'm gonna lose hundreds of hours of my life to this shit, man.
Was there an object or an option that surprised you, or something you were really happy to see that you didn't expect?
They had a lot of like evil objects. So like, but they call them replica, right? So one of the objects was a replica Fell Blood font pool. So like if you want to be someone who like makes like an evil, I don't know, torture house, I suppose, with fell shit everywhere. Yeah, you can do that. They said, I don't know if you've ever played Animal Crossing, but they have said the inspiration for this was literally Animal Crossing, and you can really tell. You can do Animal Crossing has like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of objects and items and all kinds of things that let you make any kind of house you can imagine. And it really feels like that's what they're going for here. One thing I'm intrigued about is what kind of stuff they're going to pull from my history in WoW. Because one thing they've said is that, there will be furniture and objects and items based on your past World of Warcraft achievements. So as someone who's been playing for 20 years, I would hope and presume that it's tracked all of my raid kills, like all the way back to Onyxia, right? Or Lower Blackrock Spire and all the other, maybe it tracks my achievements, like, Firefighter and all the ahead of the curves I've got and shit like that. I don't know. I'm interested to find out how deep that aspect of it goes, because obviously I've got a lot of items which might be exclusive now. So yeah, I'm intrigued about all that shit. It sounds, it's just I'm so hyped for it, man. I can't tell you. And I honestly think, even though the expansion reveal didn't land that well in terms of some of the other stuff of it, and there was discourse about the cinematic and the missing the conflicting information and all that kind of shit. The one thing that absolutely nailed here is player housing. So like, even if other aspects of the expansion don't land, player housing is absolutely completely on the money, and the team that made that should be really fucking proud, man. Really, really proud.
People will forget about all the stuff that happened this week. I mean, that's all temporary. Like all of the other crazy things that we got. Remember when people got mad about the portal rooms? I always bring that up. Nobody gives a shit anymore. Nobody remembers that was a thing. Few people are going to remember the bugs that happened this week, just in terms of the presentation. But yeah, I mean, everything I've seen with the housing, they had the creator housing events, which went like hours long, watching creators, content creators in the system and getting to see some of the stuff that they were doing. I mean, it's astounding.
So good.
And the more I think about it, the more ideas I get, and I'm like, well, I wonder if I'll be able to do this. I wonder if I'll be able to do this. And then I'm sure I'll see other stuff. And then, like you said, people will probably mash stuff together to make modern art masterpieces of all kinds of things, and then they'll give it a name and say, I call this the Elwyn Forest greed monster, and it's an effigy to consumerism or something. There's gonna be shit like that. You're right. I mean, people are gonna take it in directions that were not intended, but will be still cool nonetheless. And there'll be other things that we just haven't thought about, and that's coming. And they put us on the roadmap. They said it was going to be in early winter or midwinter, and that is what we have been told, is that patch 11.27 will be when we get it. If you have pre-ordered Midnight, that's the one catch on that. You can collect items, you can build your collection, even if you haven't bought it yet, but you'll only have access to the house if you have paid for the Midnight expansion. So that gets me to my last piece of this episode, Jez. We have pre-orders, which we knew were coming based on some leaks. We know, we kind of guessed that 11.27, we're looking at probably our housing, maybe some pre-patch-ish type stuff for Midnight. But what we didn't get was a release date. We know that it's coming in the first half of 2026. We did get that confirmation. With the roadmaps that we've been given, the consistency with which they've hit their marks, to me, this feels like February, March-ish territory for a launch. But one, are you surprised they didn't give us a date? And two, what do you think it is?
I'm not completely surprised they didn't give us a date. There's so much turmoil in the gaming industry right now. And like, for example, Microsoft announced the release date for the Xbox Ally, the new handheld, but they haven't announced price, and we're literally like just over like a month away from this shit launching. It's like, lads, shouldn't you be telling us a price with only a month left to go? But it's things like tariffs and, you know, the chaos that has been unleashed in the global economy is like, I think it's making a lot of companies, not just Blizzard, but like a lot of companies rethink announcing timelines, because you just don't know, man. You just don't know where all this shit could go. So I'm not surprised they didn't announce a launch date. There could be unforeseen things going on, but I agree with you. I think like Blizzard's been very sort of consistent with the cadence of their delivery over the last, I want to say like since Dragonflight, really. They really have been delivering. It's been impressive. So I think like when you look at it that way, I think March, April, February. I think February might be too early, but March, April, before the summer, I would think is probably not unlikely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, if any of y'all have a guess, maybe we should play some sort of a game, give away a prize for people who pick the right date or something. Even though
have you pre-ordered?
People pick the same. I have not pre-ordered yet, and the only reason why is because I am an absolute consumer whore, and I have to know what's going on with the collector's edition and what they're doing with that, and if there's gonna be one. I assume there's gonna be one because they want my money and other people's money, but there's always that little wiggle of, well, if I buy it early, do I just get like a BattleNet balance? Do they credit for something? I don't know what. We'll wait and see. But if we're getting like close to 11.27 and I don't have a sense of anything, you know I'm gonna buy it. You know I'm gonna pay for it so I can get access to the housing. Of course I will. I will not wait 1 second longer than I have to get in it. I may even take days off just for it. Who knows? I always do for expansion launches. Maybe I'll take a couple extra so I can start working on my house. And again, probably going to spend more time on my fake house than my real house. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to get in so much trouble. That's what I know. So coming out of Gamescom, we've touched on the major beats, the big highlights, and there's all kinds of other information coming out. Like apparently there's going to be a stat squish. So get ready for that shit. There's all kinds of other little pieces that are coming out. But Jez, is there anything else that you talked about with folks that you saw that you thought was interesting or worth mentioning here?
On World of Warcraft, not entirely sure. Off the top of my head, you're going to have to check out my great interview on WindowsCentral.com, which will probably be out tomorrow as of recording, so the 26th, 27th maybe.
All right.
I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. While it was chaotic, the expansion announced and all that kind of stuff, it was super cool to see World of Warcraft of Gamescom. I've been going to Gamescom for a long time now, and I don't think I've managed to be there while Blizzard had been there before. I was there for an Overwatch thing, I think, a long time ago, but not for World of Warcraft. So it's really cool for me, at least. But obviously, not everyone can attend Gamescom. Gamescom in general is such a chaotic event. We're talking hundreds of thousands of people crammed into this convention center. It's so big. It's bigger than E3 ever was. It's huge and chaotic and crazy. So it was cool to see them attend, and I got a hug from Holly Longdale, which is awesome.
Oh,
yeah, Holly was really, really cool. The whole Blizzard team is cool, man. There's just a cool team, and you can feel how passionate they are and how much they want to deliver, and how tough it is, I think, sometimes to give everyone what they want when they've got to mitigate things like, budgets and Microsoft's timelines and shareholders and all that kind of shit. And, you got Microsoft here lay people off and, talking about we're an AI company now and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, well, you just bought this gaming company, Microsoft. So are you an AI company now or are you still a gaming company? It's all that kind of shit they have to navigate ultimately to bring us this game that we all love and that we're all passionate about. And hopefully that continues for another 20 years. I mean, I've literally said to higher ups at Xbox, I was like, you better not fuck up World of Warcraft for me. If you are buying Blizzard, you better not fuck this up. because
Yeah.
that's my baby you're talking about right there.
I want to know how you survive staring into the dreamy eyes of one Ian Hazzikostas and survive.
Yeah.
That's the real test. Now he's got that sexy beard, man. He's the full package now. I don't know how you survive that. I don't know if I could survive it in person. I survived it without the beard, but now, man, he locks you in with that gaze, and it's just it's over.
I honestly just feel guilty in their presence. I like the dumbass game journalists and my dumbass questions, and just, feeling thoroughly humbled by basically these artists to make this vastly cool project, and I'm just here in my shitty blog. I'm always thinking that when I'm fucking hanging out with actual people who've got a real job. So, yeah, it was awesome.
You're the man, but it keeps you humble.
Yeah, it sure does. I mean,
keeps you humble, but it's awesome that you're there and you get to do that, and Lord knows you've got the power and the reach. So we're very blessed to have your presence here and your knowledge and your information and your cuddliness, because apparently you're so cuddly that you get a hug from Holly. I didn't even get a hug from Holly, and I'm pretty cuddly myself, I think.
Well,
maybe.
she said it was because she's Canadian, so maybe she just doesn't like Americans. I don't know.
Perhaps so. I come off clearly as a citizen of the United States. It's hard for me to pretend I'm anything else. All right. Well, I think we've done enough damage for one episode that was all about an expansion launch, so to speak. So for those who don't already know, where can the good people find you out on the internet, Jez?
Yes, you can find me over at windowscentral.com/JezCorden or /gaming. We cover a lot of gaming stuff. We don't have a particularly huge team, so we're not covering everything like an IGN, but we try our best. So
you do good work.
We do try. Add us to your feeds, and when we do post something, it might pop up there. And also on Twitter at JezCorden. And also on Blue Sky at JezCorden.com, which I got verified on Blue Sky last week. So maybe I should use that more often.
You probably should.
Yeah, maybe.
And like you said, the big interview dropping should be Monday. Well, it's the 25th. So 25th, 26th, somewhere in that neighborhood?
Something like that, yeah.
All right. Well, we will all keep our eyes out. And my thanks to all of you for listening. And remember, you can always follow me and this show on Twitter at Berserker Rage and Unshackled_Fury, on Blue Sky at Berserker and Unshackled Fury, neither of which are verified, as well as on Twitch at Unshackled Fury and Real Berserker. You can also join our Discord, links for which are in the profile of the show on Twitter and on our website, unshackledfury.com. Feel free to contact the show with your questions, comments, or otherwise through any of those resources, or email us at unshackledfuryshow@gmail.com. And you can find this show wherever you get your podcasts. So once again, thank you for listening. Remember to keep your swords wet and your banners high. And we'll see you next time. Farewell.